Normally, Sheil Kapadia will be with us Wednesdays at 6:35, but Sheil has already reviewed the tape of the Eagles game from Thursday night, so we bring Sheil on right now for his weekly hit with us. We love having Sheil Kapadia on the show, does great work for The Ringer, and ready to break that tape down for us. Sheil, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. So I want to do a deep dive on the tape and really curious what it showed you. But before that, the Jaylen Carter thing, do you think he should get suspended? Do you think he will?
I don't think he should be suspended. I mean, he already got kicked out of the game. I feel like that is, that is the punishment. I think he should have been kicked out of the game, and maybe there's a fine. But honestly, they are unpredictable with this stuff. They have viewpoints of emphasis every year. This year, it's the taunting. You saw that with the Nolan Smith flexing over a guy. It's the same penalty as if you should try to go after someone's head. So it's just tough to predict with the NFL, especially early in the season when they have these new points of emphasis.
So, Sheil, biggest thing I was looking forward to talking to you about today is Jaylen as it relates to AJ, as it relates to Devontae Smith. So let's go inside the film. I thought watching the game on Thursday night, Jalen Hurts played great, and I gushed about it Friday morning. I thought he played better than he typically did last year in the regular season. Many agreed, some disagreed. That's fine. But one thing that we knew was bizarre. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were barely involved in the game. And you just can't tell when you watch the TV version whether those guys were open and Jalen was reluctant to pull the trigger and hit them when they, otherwise could have caught some passes and yards. What did the film show you about A.J., Devontae, and the more deep down the field passing game with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, this wasn't one of those games. I think we've talked in the past where we say, hey, Jalen Hurts turned down a lot of throws. There were open throws. He was overly conservative. I didn't think that was the case in this game. I thought he was decisive, and I thought the Cowboys had a beat on some of the stuff that the Eagles were doing and the way they were playing their safeties. That, there were plays where they called plays for A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts has him as his first read, and he's looking at him. But if he throws the football, it's an interception because the Cowboys are all over the route concept that the Eagles are putting out there. So I thought Jalen Hurts did a nice job with his decisiveness. I thought the Eagles coaches, specifically with A.J., if it were me, I would want to just manufacture touches to A.J. Brown early in the game, get him involved. He's such a weapon, whether it's a screen, whether it's a slant. And again, I'm not saying they didn't call any plays for him. They did call plays for A.J. Brown, but I would go a little more overboard, especially early in the game. So that's how I saw it, at least.
What is it saying about Kevin Patullo that it was an issue getting the ball to our wide receivers, Sheil?
Well, it was part of it, and part of it is how the Cowboys are playing you. When they're playing with safeties deep, and they didn't do it on every play, but when they're doing that and they're forcing you to check the ball down underneath, and that's what Jalen Hurts did for the most part. He took what the defense gave him, and even on his first touchdown run, that's not, hey, I'm going to drop back and scramble right away. I mean, if you look at it, he's going 1 to 2 to 3 from his right to his left. The first read's Devontae Smith. He comes back across the field, nothing's there, and he takes off and he runs. And I think one thing with Jalen Hurts is when he's not targeting someone with a throw, what's happening? Is it a sack or is it a positive play? And last year, he was getting sacked on, 10% of his dropbacks. This game, he only got sacked once, and he picked up 5 first downs with his legs. So, I think there are things you can work on offensively, but that's not a performance I'm going to complain about when he's 19 for 23. There's 1 drop, and there's 3 throwaways. I mean, he didn't miss a throw that was an incompletion the entire game.
Yeah, I thought he played great. I really did. I was very happy with him. All right, Sheil, let's go to defense because there's a lot there. So let's just start with this. How big a problem is the other cornerback spot?
Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, I kind of list every player and write notes as I'm watching, and Adoree Jackson's paragraph filled up pretty quickly. Not to pick on the guy, but the Cowboys were picking on the guy. That was their game plan. That was their game plan was, hey, let's find him, let's test him, and let's go after him. And it was with CeeDee Lamb. It was with different motions and formations where they say, hey, how can we get our guy on him? And it was with some of their second and third wide receivers too, to be honest. So, it's a tough situation when you have a corner like that. You're trying different things with your safety. You're trying different things to help him out. But at some point, it's the position. You're going to have to cover somebody one-on-one, and I thought he had a tough day. So I don't know. I don't know how they'll view it, whether they'll say, hey, let's give him more reps. It was just one game, or whether Vic Fangio will be a little more aggressive and say, we're going to try someone else out there, and maybe Jacorian Bennett is your starting cornerback in week 2. That would not shock me.
So Jacorian Bennett, based on what you've seen in the past and what he's put on tape, is he up to this?
Yeah, he started in the league last year. Now, is he up to it? I'm not going to come with full confidence and say if he starts against the Chiefs, we could be having a similar conversation next week. I mean, they took a bunch of dart throws at the cornerback position, but I think just come from a physical perspective, just the tools he has to work with, and he's younger than Adoree Jackson at this point in his career, that maybe you say, hey, there are more things we can work with here where he can develop into the player that we need him to be going forward.
And how much of the cornerback issue is based off of the pass rush not getting there? Everything fitting together, it matters. After Nolan Smith and Jaylen Hunt, we didn't feel that confident that we had the pass rushers to get to the quarterback. And then in this game, it didn't feel like Nolan Smith or Jaylen Hunt did a whole lot themselves. How much of the cornerback problem is a pass rush problem also? Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that, John, because it's absolutely true, and it's hard. It is unfair to just look at Adoree Jackson and say he's given, because there was a play, I think it was a 26-yard completion to CeeDee Lamb where he is running across the field, and if you pause it when Dak Prescott's getting ready to throw, I mean, there is nobody near him, and he's already held the ball for 2.5, 3 seconds, and he's got one of the cleanest pockets you'll see in the NFL. And that's just not fair to ask Adoree Jackson to stick with CeeDee Lamb for that long on a specific play. And so, yes, some of the explosive plays, I was always looking, all right, is Dak Prescott pressured? And he wasn't. So the pass rush was not good enough in this game. Now you lose Jaylen Carter. Obviously, that's going to have a huge impact. That's going to have a multiplying effect with the other guys. But, yeah, it wasn't good enough. I will tell you one positive with the pass rush. Josh Uche, he didn't play a lot of snaps, but he had 3 or 4 pass rushes in this game that, in my opinion, were better than anything we saw from Nolan Smith and Jaylen Hunt. So that's just something to keep an eye on. If you watch the 2-minute drill, look at who's playing edge on that possession. It's Josh Uche's out there on the right side. And so I would just say, they signed Zadarius Smith. Keep an eye on third down, obvious passing situations. Do those guys maybe get a little more, get some more snaps as pass rushers?
Great. All right. So safety-wise, when you look at the tape, who did you like? What did you not like from, we got an assortment with Sidney Brown and Makuba.
I thought the safeties overall did okay. I really liked I thought Makuba played well. I really like his personality. He is, we've talked about it before. He's a smaller safety when you compare him to others in the NFL, but he does not play like it. He wants to get in there. He wants to lay the wood. He's aggressive against the run. He's aggressive downhill. So I was really encouraged, actually. All summer we talked about the safety spot and the corner 2 spot, and I came away from this game with concerns about corner, but feeling pretty excited about watching Drew Makuba all season long. He's got to stay healthy. That's going to be one thing. But, yeah, I do like his play personality, that he's willing to kind of get in there and be aggressive.
It's good to hear because that's the guy they want to start. I mean, that's why they drafted him in the second round. And he probably would have been full system go if not for the injuries in camp. But, yeah, I think he's the guy. I think he's your starting safety.
It might be as soon as this week, honestly. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing almost every snap. Not that Sidney Brown was bad or a liability, but I think they probably wanted to ease Makuba in, given the way the summer went. But like you said, he is Vic's guy, and everything I saw in film wasn't perfect, but I think from what I saw in film, they're going to want to go with him sooner rather than later.
Do you think Josh Uche being as effective as he has been this preseason and early this season is part of why Zadarius Smith is here, another old head who's been around to, here and there, but has probably some secret tricks up his sleeve just from being around the game a little bit?
Yeah, I think Zadarius Smith can be more of he's a more well-rounded player, I would say, where if you need to play him, if you need to just start him, if someone were to get injured or even right away and play him on early downs and as a pass rusher, he can do that. Josh Uche is really a specialized player where he's going to be out there third down, obvious passing situations, but I don't think he's the guy you want out there on early downs. So there's some mixing and matching going on. Jaylen Hunt will be better on early downs. Nolan Smith is more well-rounded, so I think Fangio just give him another option and figure out a rotation there with those guys so that you get enough of a pass rush.
All right, Sheil, two final things here. Number one thing that stood out to you from all those games yesterday, what was it?
Number one thing that stood out, it's got to be the Sunday nighter. I mean, those incredible. You know, it was a good afternoon of football, but then the night game and what Josh Allen did, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and do they kind of take it from Patrick Mahomes finally this year? I think that's a big, big question in the AFC. So, yeah, that one lived up to the hype for sure.
All right, Sheil, final thing, and this may be crazy talk, and sometimes I fall into the trap when our teams are playing well, and I feel like they're, you know, not invincible, but like really, really likely to win. But I got to tell you, dude, like Sunday versus KC, yeah, in KC, I think the Eagles are really, really likely to win. And I didn't think that as recently as 2 or 3 weeks ago. I just thought, at Kansas City, that's probably a loss. I think the Eagles are going to win this football game. I feel very confident. Is that crazy talk?
I think they've got a great shot, and it's not crazy because I always look at these games week by week, and I say, they can't win all of them. And then I look at it, and it's like, they almost never lose when Jalen Hurts starts and finishes a game. I mean, I hate to say it and put it out there, but they're, 37-9 or something the last 3 years when Jalen Hurts starts and finishes a football game. So I don't think it's crazy. And before you let me go, you didn't ask me about them, so I got to say Jihaad, Campbell, and Zack Baun. I mean, this is going to be the best linebacking duo in the NFL. The things those two guys do, I looked at maybe 3 or 4 plays where there are only 5 linebackers in the entire NFL that can do what they did. So I had to get that in there because that was one of my most exciting parts about reviewing this film. Zack Baun and Jihaad Campbell are awesome.
So, shit, when I think of tandems over the last, let's say, 15 years, Pittsburgh had some tandems, Baltimore had them, San Francisco had them. You think the Eagles are entering one of those zones for the next couple of years?
Yeah, listen, it's one game for Campbell, and there's some stuff, when he's coming downhill, when offensive linemen get their hands on him, those reps weren't great, but the rep he had going down the middle of the field with the pass breakup and saving a touchdown, that's just uncommon for an NFL linebacker. So I think the potential is there for that type of tandem, and Zack Baun looked pretty much exactly like he looked last year, just such a smart player who plays with great effort and great athleticism. Really fun to watch those guys after some of the linebackers. No disrespect, we've watched in recent years. Those guys are a treat to watch.
Excellent. Sheil, stay well. Again, Sheil typically will be with us Wednesdays, 6:35 after the Sunday games. He'll have broken down the film and be ready to go early Monday morning for Sheil. We look forward to a great season with you. Thanks, pal.